Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. As you can see, I'm joining you from my kitchen today. Bit of an unorthodox setting, I know, but just to give a quick intro to the video, or audio rather, that you're about to hear. So as a little New Year's treat for you all, basically, back in December, I went to the launch party of a brand new album by a friend of mine called Mr. Stuie J Blenkhorn. The album is called Everything Is Alright, it's out now. Please go buy it. I'll put the link to Stu's store if he started selling them. I'll put that in the description, or I'll find somewhere that you can buy it and put that in the description. Just please support independence is the main thing. Anyway, so I went to the launch party and it was great. The opening acts were fantastic as well, whose names are unfortunately escaping me at the moment, so I'll put them on screen here so that you can go and look them up and show them some support as well. So yeah, overall a great night, and you'll hear some more of my thoughts on the album itself in the upcoming year in review, which should be out, cross fingers touch wood, before the end of January. So you'll hear some more in-depth thoughts about the album there. But before Stu went on stage, I was very fortunate to be able to get an exclusive interview with him backstage, where he talked about some of the creative processes going into the writing of the album, his general creative process, how he writes lyrics, some of his inspirations, what plans he had for the future, all kinds of different things. And it was very kind of Stu to allow me his time to kind of rattle off some questions at him. So I've edited that together for your listening pleasure, which you can enjoy here and now. And then, again, as I say, buy the album. I'll find somewhere you can do that, or stream it. If you've really got no way of buying it, please do stream it as well. And without further ado, here is my exclusive interview with Mr. Stuie J Blenkhorn. Right, so I am joined here today by the one and the only Mr. Stuart Blenkhorn.
Hello.
Stuie J Blenkhorn.
That's the stage name, isn't it? Yeah.
Who is he's just released, or about to release, depending on what I do with this, where I put it, where it goes. He's just released a brand new album, Everything Is Alright, on LD Records.
That's the one.
Please buy it. I've yet to listen to the album because he's literally very kindly gifted it me about half an hour ago. But
You've not listened to it yet?
No, I haven't got a chance. I might sneak backstage before you go on and see if they've got any spare CD players lying about.
Learn the words.
Yeah, just quickly.
There's a song on there that you know. I know you do, because you asked me about it a while ago, and you remembered it, so it's on there. It made the cut.
Yeah, Hands Up. I like that track, actually.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, a lot of the singles I've heard from the album have been good, so I've got no doubt that the album will follow suit. So, my first question, obviously, congrats on the album.
Thank you.
It's been in the works for a while, so it must be a relief to get it out finally.
I don't want to tell you how long, because that'd be... Some of the songs are nearly as old as you. In fact, older, some of them. But the album recording process started 2018.
Yeah.
So it's back 5 years. Obviously with COVID in between, maybe 3 years.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, it's good to get it out finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember we did an interview either back in 2021 or 2022, I can't quite remember. And I remember you were kind of talking about wanting to get it out quite soon after then.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that with the amount of time that you've spent on it, you must have really, really wanted to get it right properly.
Yeah, it's that whole pressure of you can only put your first album out once, can't you?
Yeah.
And like the problem is now it's too easy for musicians to sit at home tweaking stuff, and with the technology now, laptops, Macs, iPads, iPhones, you make demos on there easy good enough. So it's about being able to step away and go, right, that's done.
Yeah.
And especially when you're paying, so I've paid studio time. It's like anything, it's not expensive. It's expensive as a solo artist with family and a job that don't pay me enough. So every now and then I've saved up a bit, put it aside and recorded some more. So I think it's just, you're right actually, it was probably ready when we last spoke. But it's just about when to release it and when I can go out and gig, and now's the time. If I'd have sat on it any longer, it probably wouldn't have come out, so it's out now.
What was it like actually recording the tracks? Because it must sometimes feel quite strange having like an abstract idea in your head and then obviously you can sing it in your living room or whatever, but actually recording it and having it come out on the tape on the other end, it must be quite a weird experience sometimes.
It is. And the one thing you can't do in a terraced house is be loud and, you know, be recording things and singing things properly at home, because, you know, obviously children in my house, but also the neighbours. I'm very conscious of people hearing me sing, you know, when I don't want them to. So genuinely, trade secret, a lot of the early demos I recorded in my car at lunchtime and at work and things like that.
Right, yeah.
The demo, you know, like the ideas, and then to go into the studio and do it, it's just the process I find extremely cathartic, you know, like therapeutic, just kind of getting your ideas started. I guess it's like an artist sketching something and then the painting's out finally. Yeah. That journey, you don't really know where it's going, but it goes somewhere, and that's where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a few artists say, like, when they're recording, like, seminal albums, like Nirvana recording Nevermind, for instance, you know, they listen to it back afterwards and it was like, whoa, did I do that? You know, you almost kind of don't realise that you're the one doing it, if that makes sense.
It is. You're really kind of detached from it, and I'm glad you've compared it to Nevermind already without hearing it. No, here's one. I've always thought this, like when they're recording Nevermind, or an example I always use is Sultans of Swing, Dire Straits. Yeah. They sit there and go, that's it. We've got a smash hit that's going to be around forever. Yeah. Or they just go, right, what we're doing next? You know, because sometimes the actual process is just getting it out there, I guess, just getting the painting finished. Yeah. And then it's kind of like next painting. Were
there any kind of ambitions to like explore different territories? Because I think there's a kind of I guess maybe a preconception of like indie artists that it's just kind of like, you know, guitar twanging and sort of like sad acoustic type things. Was there a want to kind of be like, no, there's more to it than that, and to show that? You know,
yeah, so there's a couple of things on there. It's a really weird one because I've never been tied to one sound. A lot of people like to have their brand. They're kind of right. What is our band sound? And I guess when you're on your own, and I'm into so many different artists and genres, and I think genres are coming a bit of a dead thing now. I think there's so much blend between artists and genres. Yeah, there's a song on there that. It's a bit more electronic because I was a drummer to start with. I wanted real drums on there because for the dynamics, for the light and shade, I love drums. There's one song on there with electric drums, samples, you know. Yeah. And it works. Chemicals it is, and it's one I did at home. So I had the full process at home, and I thought, no, that's okay. That serves the song, and sent the stuff to Kurt then remotely, and he mixed it and things like that. But yeah, there's not really one genre running throughout. There's heavy songs, really, like quite heavy song on there. There's the last song in particular I think you'll like. It's a bit dancey. Yeah, you know, it's a bit, right. Which I guess comes from my love of Prodigy, how they kind of do a bit of everything. I don't know who's gonna like it. I think musicians and like people that are into music will like it. Pop music fans won't like it. Right, I don't think it's a bit too it's not polished, you know, vocally. It's not polished, it's decent, but yeah. I hope people like some of it. That's what I've been saying. I hope you like at least one song. Like, I suppose it's difficult to please everyone, but I suppose from what you're telling me, it's like, so there's like 9 tracks on the album. Yeah. It's like, if you can please 9 different people with one of each song, get those 9 people in a room. Yeah. And then, you know, you've got a kind of conversation happening. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Yeah, I think you're onto a winner there. I think there is some that they do sound, and I think the whole idea of the album is I don't want to say it's absolutely not a concept album. But the themes of the darker times, the harder stuff that life throws at us, you know. I think you've got to be an extremely good songwriter to write a good, happy song. Because our experiences in life, I don't know, you don't really, reflect on you do, and we should reflect on happy times, but actually it's the trickier stuff that forges these ideas, I guess. For me especially, it's that kind of therapeutic thing. It's getting it out there. So
I get that completely. So you worked with Kurt, as you said, at Corner House.
Yeah.
How important was he to the album? Because this is just my personal opinion. There are so many albums that come out now where it just seems like they don't care about the sonics. Like, the songs could be great, but they sound like shit. Like, not to throw shade, but Andrew Watt, the guy who does production for Post Malone, I just find his stuff too washed out, blown out. It's just too much. So, as good as the songs might be, the sonics are really important. So to you, how important was it that you and Kurt got the sound right of the album?
He was right from the start, even when he was working at Jam and Top, when they had the studio, before he got his own. I knew he got the sound that I wanted. I knew he was like, I don't want to speak for him, but he spends 90% getting the drums right for that exact reason. If you don't have the right drums, the right light and shade, sonic, goodness, you're just building on top of something flat. Post Malone's one of my all-time favourite artists at the minute. And I must say, to back up what you said, the washed out kind of flatness, I think as well, you go to a gig and it's a whole different kind of sonic, like your basses are coming out of these bass bins that are bigger than villages, and you just get a whole different experience. But it's interesting, because he seems to be the go-to guy, doesn't he, at the minute with the pop. Especially the Stones have just been used him, haven't they, and stuff. And it goes back to what I was saying about my album isn't for pop music fans. The way he produces is, because our ears now are trained to, like, Radio 1, for example, introduced that whole, we're not playing anything that hasn't had auto-tune vocals for the last 10, 15 years, maybe even more, because the public now, I guess it's that and the X Factor generation where everyone thinks they're a critic. If someone hits a bum note, so what? Do you know what I mean? It's music, it's light, it's real. But yet the majority of the population, the pop music, they need that perfect flatness which you're describing. So I absolutely agree with you to that point.
Are there any insights that you might be able to give into the actual writing process? Like, obviously, I imagine the process for writing a track is different from song to song, but is there any way or any methods, tricks of the trade that you can let us in on?
So I never can sit down. If I go, right, let's say I've not got work for 2 weeks, I've got nothing else to do, I couldn't sit down and go, right, I'm going to write a song today. But I'm often writing notes and stuff on my phone, just like lyrics, and that. Lyrics are what I struggle with, and I get too self-aware and self-critical before they've even formed. Perfect example though, that Hands Up was written. Someone had invited me to acoustic night to play, and it was like no covers, which is fine, I respect that, and I didn't have a long enough set, so I literally sat and wrote that song in a week. The feeling of in the studio when I'd finished that song, to let you in on a little secret, an insight, was I stood there thinking, I don't think I'm ever going to write something better than this. I sat on it a long time before I got in the studio with it, but it just shows that actually, if I have to, sometimes if the idea's already there, then it's all good.
My next question was there any track that was particularly difficult to write or record? But I suppose you've kind of already answered that a little bit. I imagine they're all fairly difficult in different ways.
Yeah, that one, actually, Hands Up, was the hardest to sing and finish, because it's like a pat on the back to myself, which I don't like talking about. It's you got this kind of Jimmy Eat World kind of, so that was hard. But I want people to listen and take other things from it. They might hear different things to what the subject matter is.
Yeah. So I've heard people, like, you mentioned The Prodigy earlier, obviously my personal favourite band, and I've heard them speak before how, especially more recently, their stuff is built to play live.
So they've said if we're testing it and it doesn't work live, it doesn't work. Is that the same for you? Like, do you have a similar, or is it just if it works in the studio, it works and that's fine? Or are you looking to be able to play them live?
I think,
like, what's the
I can't remember who once said it. I think many greats have said it, and it stuck with me years ago, where they said if you can't take any song, if you can't play it on an acoustic and it's still a good song, then it's not a good song. But I disagree as much as I agree with that. You know, for example, Prodigy, you couldn't play that genre on an acoustic guitar. Tonight I'm doing something different. I've got people with me, and normally I play stuff, and if I can't loop it and I can't do it well enough, then I won't play it. But the desire now is to play this album how it's recorded, with every instrument.
There seems to be a bit of a, you mentioned earlier as well, there seems to be kind of a theme about mental health and stuff on the album in like a few of the titles I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even the album title, Everything's Alright, it seems quite, you know, sort of mental health, not centric, but there's definitely a focus there. Was that was that like a cognizant thing?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not something I think I said to you in our last chat. It's not something I want to be like. I don't like talking about mental health. You know, I've struggled for 20 odd years now. You know, and I'm not good at it. I'm not good at talking about it. But something changed in me when someone had heard a song and actually went, "You've helped me by your song and your lyrics," and I'm like, well, that's enough for me, you know. And then I realised, and actually, Everything Is Alright. Do you know the meme of the I think it's a cartoon dog, and everything's on fire?
Oh yeah.
And it just says, "This is fine," or it's fine. Kind of where that come from, like everything's alright. Is it?
Yeah.
But let's try and pretend it is.
Yeah.
for limited times.
Yeah. After our last chat, you told me about a particularly mental track called Man Dog.
Yep.
And it's not on the standard edition of the album, but I was happy to see that it made its way onto the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you could tell me any more about that.
Purely for maybe half a dozen people in the world that love that song, and it's a bit of a OG track. Kurt was great at encouragement and great at kind of decision making. He didn't make me change much. He didn't make, you know, it was always production suggestions, but that was one track he wasn't necessarily sold on. It's always going to be there, and it's funny, but it's actually another song about mental health and stuff, and so it's fun, and I just put it on there because it sounds great sonically. It's a good jam. It's got a dancey bit at the end. You're in for a treat if you've not heard it. So I've stuck it on the gig night freebie, just so it's out there really. The CD's a tenner, but you know, life's tough. If they haven't got a tenner, have the free one. I'd rather you heard it than not.
Obviously, with what you do and how you've been operating, obviously LD Records is an independent imprint, and you know, you've been on Dry Stone Radio, as have I, and things like that. And how important do you think it is to have those kind of independent avenues? Because I think for me, when I was at Dry Stone, it was quite cool because it was quite small. Even if it was just 20 people listening, that I could play the Happy Mondays and then some obscure German thing and some weird other thing and have that just go by. And you and Hatch, sorry. You and him played all kinds of different stuff, you know. And there's places like Dandelion Radio, obviously, that do stuff like that as well. So I wondered how important the kind of grassroots independent thing was to you, if it's
massively
a thing at all.
You know, I say it again, it's not a lucrative business to be in his music. You know, if you're in it for just the money, you're gonna have a sad time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Batch, I have to say, he's been my biggest fan, helping me put stuff out and pushing me to do it. And you know, if I had a manager, it'd be him. You know, I respect him a lot, so for that, and he's helped out before with decisions and more so how to get it out, how to manage it online, things like that. And it's massive because, like you just said, you might have 20 people listening, but that's 20 people that are still keep listening.
Yeah.
and the artistic freedom at Drystone, especially, you know, play what you want. And actually, we had a pretty niche wrestling show, but the idea was wrestling chat, good music, and you might be the same, I don't know, but we didn't know how many people were listening because they never got their analytics sorted, but that's another thing. Until we stopped doing it, and we had loads of people, oh, where's it gone? We were loving that. I was like, why don't you tell us? We'd have kept going, but we're going to get the podcast back up and do it again, away from the constraints of language, I guess, on radio and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's massive, isn't it? It's good. It's keeping the arts alive, isn't it?
Like, are you still writing? Is there stuff in the pipeline for a second album? Is there going to be a tour or more shows?
I would love a tour. That's the idea. I want to go get a few shows, but getting shows as a independent, unknown artist is extremely hard. Tonight's been a struggle getting people here, but everyone that here, I'm so thankful they are. There's a couple of songs that Jake and Matty that are in the band with me tonight, they've heard and gone like, why aren't they on the album? And I'm like, that's for album 2. Even though it's not a thing yet, it didn't fit the vibe of this album, so you'll get first listen when they're ready. So
that's fantastic. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Those are all the questions I had for you. Thank you very much for giving me your time. I really appreciate it. The new album,
always welcome anytime. Sorry to interrupt you there, but it's always welcome to chat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've really enjoyed our chat. It's been very insightful. The new album, Everything Is Alright, is out now. I presume I'll probably put this somewhere, do something with it. LD Records, buy it, stream it, do whatever with it. Go see Stu and his band if they're on tour. Support independence, and I'm looking forward to a great gig tonight. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you for having me.